You have a research slot available. Air Doctrine, which I think we haven't done all of it. You know, ground attack. But you're a helicopter. I don't really care about the helicopters too much. 1970 is still a little bit too far away. I can't do you because they're mutually exclusive. So for right now, I guess we just go for more tank upgrades. Couldn't hurt. Actually, are you even a... I'm in artillery, aren't I? Yeah. Whatever. It's fine. In this mod, Gorbachev is a collaborator. Is he here somewhere? I'm sure he's here somewhere. I don't know. Boris was born in 1931. Okay. The Immigration and National Security Act. This will increase status for civil rights. What other penalty? What else are we getting here? Gains the huddled masses. Population increases for 730 days. We lose more political power, but who cares? Who cares? I mean, the South, we're losing the South. We're never going to have it. The South is gone forever. Those to exclude. As the work continues on the new immigration bill, an important matter has come to the forefront: skills. Many applicants would surely have backgrounds in medicine, engineering, and science. At the same time, many others lack such abilities and would instead move into service or agricultural sectors. The question is, do we want to establish a strict set of criteria for potential immigrants? It would likely appease the nativists in Congress who would make noise about unskilled labor taking American jobs, but at the same time, progressives would generally prefer open and tolerant policy. We need doctors, not line cooks. Honestly, I'm already so far down the political power. I don't even know if we're ever going to get out of this. Because the South, the South is gone. We're never winning it back. It's just gone forever. So, also I should read this, huh? It's just, bye-bye. Continued resistance. So we should try to get more support outside of the South. Continued resistance. The meeting room had a thick, uncomfortable air to it, caused in no small part by the unsettling low ceiling and the burning cigarettes of Attorney General Nicholas Karchbach. Smoking Attorney General sat opposite President Lyndon Johnson, with Governor of Mississippi Ross Barnett sitting across just a few seats down. Kicking the Klan out of Southern police forces have been more involved affair than previously thought, said Karchbach. Of course, replied Johnson. That's why we're here. Something's not working, and we need to determine what it is. My recommended course of action is to break up the police departments at its core. Senior and junior officers need to be more separated, and suspect departments should have full federal investigations placed onto them. Let's not push this too far, said Barnett. Too much pressure, and you might be facing a case of the Supreme Court. The current stress that you're putting on them is more than enough. It just needs time to sort itself out. Fine then, sighed Karchbach. I think we should put some additional measures on, just a bit lighter perhaps. Discrimination is supposed to be banned in Georgia. I'll call up Governor Garland Byrd and tell him we want to get his state in line. You won't refuse the president, even if he has proven difficult in the past. If our plan works in Georgia, we'll apply them to the rest of the states. Screw it, dude. We're doubling down. Double down, double down, double down, double down. If it makes things, like, horrible, then at least that's interesting, right? Something being bad can also be interesting. An assault on law and order. Both Democrats and elements on the far right have found themselves openly standing against the Johnson administration after President Johnson himself refused to support the additional anti-discrimination measures proposed by Attorney General Nicholas Karchbach. These changes come after more than a week of protests surrounding comments made by Georgia Governor George Wallace, in which he called upon the South to resist tyrannical government measures. In many cities, the protests became violent, taking a long time before either calming down or being stopped by local National Guard units. Senator Storm Thurmond called the week of protests an assault on law and order, but the governor of Mississippi, Ross Barnett, calling it the Days of Rage, a term now popular across much of the nation. Now, even the original anti-discrimination measures proposed by the Johnson administration are being ignored by the South. The Ku Klux Klan seems to be openly working with local authorities, and hate crimes have skyrocketed. Overall, the past few weeks have proven disastrous for the president and Republican Party, and Johnson will likely see more emboldened resistance from the South in the future. Yeah, another negative 50 political power. Negative 636. I won't add in political power for free unless it maybe like completely breaks the game. But still, I mean, negative 634 is just hilarious. Tough on racism. There have been a rise of number of civil rights cases that have been working their way up through the Department of Justice lately. Prosecutors, FBI agents, and more all investigating a variety of racist incidences throughout the South, bringing police officers, Klansmen, white supremacist leaders, and others to trial for their violence, intimidation, and flouting civil rights laws. While the gears of justice move slowly, and not all of the cases will be decided in the government's favor, there's a growing outcry throughout the South that the feds are overstepping their authority, trying to criminalize personal opinions and thoughts, trampling the First Amendment, and dismantling states' rights. One particular case where the hotel owner in Georgia was arrested for allowing a white mob to break into a black man's room, tie him up, and smash his belongings and threaten to lynch him, has become a focal point of this opposition, with Yaki's faction of the NPP denouncing the FBI's case, arguing it was overstepping their authority when the state courts could have handled this, and undoubtedly let the white hotel owner and the mob walk free. Yet Yaki has gained many support throughout the South for standing up to the man and its efforts to make the black equal. The Yakiite wing of the NPP grows more prominent. The NPP of the South continues to go more right-wing. Like, the only reason I would add in political power is if we're in such a situation where there's just nothing we could do. I mean, we're kind of already in that position, but I've kind of been doing it, like, to myself. By taking every option that just reduces the penalties further and further and further. But right now, 10% stability would be nice. So we'll go with this. Right now we're negative 33. Don't be fooled. That's not 33%. That is negative 33. Like, do they have any seats? No, they don't have any seats. The Yakis are just kind of doing their own thing. And no options here, unfortunately. Is there anything we want to build? Anything new? I mean, we're still building ships. You know, why not build... Why even... No, I don't have free dockyards. I have free military factories. Why not short-range ballistic missiles? I'm sure that seems like a good idea. Missiles are fun. I like blowing shit up. So how is Indonesia doing, by the way? You have no national focus because you don't have any focuses. That is understandable. I think you guys are just done your focus trees for now. So you're really just as far down your tree as you can possibly go. Japan's doing some stuff that I'm not a big fan of. Across the... Are you going to go to war with Italy? You might go to war with Italy. So we'll see a major European war. And I guess we would back the Italians. Naval. Do we have any more, like, naval invasion tech? You're still all way too expensive. Everything's so goddamn expensive. You know what? Anti-air. Sure. Gonna be friends with Italy? Oh, that's significantly worse for us. You're doing... What the Bush War? Which is... Oh, is it way over here? Yes. Death of Duty. The Harto. But, like, they've already lost. I'm not too sure what they're doing. The dance partner. Here in the Stonewall Inn. The dances are many. Dance are profane and holy, intimidate, and vast money and poor alike. For now, it's all John Rousseau could do to keep up with the one. Left and right and left again. The swirl of a body so sweeping it belongs on the parade square. Not the rough tiles of the inn floor. Then the shoes opposite him grace the contours of the lit slips and end up in the original placings. By some arcane coincidence. Martin glares at him with visible annoyance. John looks down at sheepishly. The moment stretches taut pulls apart and snaps. Martin bursts out laughing, tickled by something on John's face, and pulls him to himself. His face smells of smoke and aftershave. The kiss is tart and startling in a dim neon. John pulls back with the old instincts of the Brooklyn boy who always knew how much of himself to show and how much to hide. But today, part of him resists, and instead he stays. It's a raw comfort, and the glittering sharpness of the moment is all he has. Martin pulls away with some reluctance. They have been brief, and even this hour have been snatched at a great cost. They haven't had much time. He takes John's arm, and together they spin out of a little bar, a little dance studio. Their figures are quickly lost in the chaos of the brilliance of New York's night, blending in the neon-shaded phantoms before disappearing. Next time, trying Kumi? Where is Komi? I don't know who Komi is, so I don't know if I can play as them. The conservatives are grumbling. Mr. President, the Great Society is starting to be put into effect. And the good news, the overwhelming majority of Americans support our efforts to reform society to make it more equal and fair for those on the bottom of the totem pole. But as their efforts bear fruit in Congress, there are already some rumblings in the opposition building. Some conservatives of the Democratic wing of the party, as well as the far-right NPP, are starting to complain in private. And there are many anonymous op-eds in newspapers all over the nation denouncing their efforts. There's really nothing to worry about now. Most of the people would never have voted for the Great Society anyway if it wasn't political suicide to support it in the first acts that are generally popular with the American people. The few that did vote against these acts did so on grounds of high cost and the encroachment of the state's prerogatives, and not necessarily in regards to the ideas themselves. In general, our plans are moving ahead and still have wide support, so we will be able to continue pushing forward to make America a better, more equal nation. A little bit less support for a liberal democracy. He's a Russian warlord. Okay. The rising fear. Over the past several weeks, America has borne witness to a new firestorm of anti-immigration sentiment, stoked by activists on the far right of the National Progressive Party. Protesters have gathered at the state capitol and federal building across the country. While most of the protests are small in number, they're plenty noisy. Placards proclaiming foreign spies out, hey, LBJ traitor to the USA. Hey, LBJ, traitor to the USA. And America for Americans are plastered to television screens from San Jose to Bar Harbor. Meanwhile, TV and radio ads discussing everything from Argentine fascists to black South American radicals are hitting the airwaves. While the opinion polling shows that most Americans disapprove of the sentiment, it is extremely difficult to ignore. Political power minus 50. The MPP grows more appealing among progressive voters. We're also at negative 724. Just don't worry about that too much. Don't worry about it at all. So, we're going to get 10% sensibility, a little bit more political power gain, and plus 50 political power. Just incredible news. Can I increase more civilian funding? Not at the moment. Probably make people a little bit less, upset with us. I guess you guys will just kind of, doesn't really matter, you just spawn. Makes no difference whatsoever. You meet with the leadership. What are you guys going to do? Made in Germany. The giant flaming, phoenix. Which, two giants together. Into the father. So, wait, no, I'm looking at this. Is this saying that Spear's going to want to try to help us out? Not help us out necessarily, but, distance ourselves from Hitler. They might try to, more rights for slaves. The Toronto Accords. Yeah, so I think actually Spear might try to work with us a little bit. So I'm glad that our intervention in their war was not necessarily for naught. He also heard that Iberia is fun. It's trying to hold together a castle of fragile crystals. So yeah, we might be able to get Spear to not help us out per se, but not be incredibly hostile towards us. An apology. Okay, so you're so this is doing stuff with Okay, no, yeah, this is not going to war with Italy. This is trying to make them more friends. Okay. A break in the storm. After many weeks of sporadic protesting over the inability for the Johnson administration to force its desegregation rules upon the southern police departments, many cities across the South are beginning to calm down. With no protests and no injuries from the clash between the protesters and the Ku Klux Klan or police, it appears that the violence is coming to an end. It appears Governor Maddox of Georgia and Governor Walz of Alabama are also standing down, allowing the old federal rules to be enforced once more. The period of violence, often called the Days of Rage, led to weeks in violence between protesters and pro-police elements across the South. These pro-police elements often consisted of the police themselves, as well as members of the white supremacist Ku Klux Klan. All told, over 60 Americans have died during the fighting, with more than 1,000 injured or hospitalized. It appears the Johnson administration, with the violence concluded, is moving once again to enforce the desegregation rules upon the South. After many weeks of chaotic, exhausting work, Southern municipal police departments do not seem to be in a position to resist. More stability, more political power. We're making things, you know, better, I guess. Slowly improving. We've almost are in positive. We're almost in the positives, which is nice. Also, we can spend more money there. Almost at zero stability. Best we've been in a while. Hell yeah. Like, do any of you guys... Like, I'm guessing, like, nobody here does anything right now. And that's kind of okay. As long as South Africa is still in our faction, we're still looking pretty good. How many men do you guys actually have? 24 divisions. Okay. Not bad. Stability in my LBJ USA. I know. It's insane. I never thought I would see the day. I do... What artillery are we using? Production. We are using the M59 Howitzer. Can I upgrade you? Not until 1970, so we'll go with you then. Get that upgrade. Thank you. Front no more. As the Grand Marshal sat down at his desk, he pondered his thoughts. The front has succeeded in their goals of reuniting the West. However, much more of the work was to be done for the reconquering of the East. And soon after was the strike against the Germans. Before there was much to be done, however, currently the one thing that was on Georgy Zhukov's mind was to make an official statement. As the Grand Marshal needed to all the Grand Marshal needed to do was to garner approval from the cabinet and then officially change the name from the West Russian Revolutionary Front to the Russian Soviet Federal Socialist Republic. Once he would finally do this, it'd be time to realize the front had officially become a country once again instead of a simply rump state that had been teetering on the edge of death. However, the front was well and alive, focusing on its next prey for the time being until the continuation of the Great Patriotic War. Until then, the only thing that would tell until the Republic would do. Zhukov smiled as he finished writing his plans for the meeting with the President later, or Presidium later, hoping that they would accept his proposal. However, until then, he had much more to do. Due to the Republic encompassing the west half of Russia, they had to deal with many more problems, whether it's grain stocks rising, or the issue of funding for each military branch. Zhukov was confident that these issues would sort themselves out after a bit of nudging from the government and even himself. The military, while important, seemed like it could be a large issue. So I'm not too sure why we are getting events for here. Like, I don't know why we're getting Zhukov's events. We'll see if they kind of unite all of this territory together. Like, how many troops could you possibly have? You have 32 units? Why do I actually know so much information about you? Political interference, socialism, decryption. Okay. Like, how many troops? But how many troops do all of you? Like, just the Moscow government has more troops than you guys do. So I think your prepared invasion of Germany probably not going to work out so well. The most basic need. In the many years of service as a legislator for the great state of Texas, my belief fortified in the ability for a country to legislate through issues of the greatest import and severity. The issue of equal rights for American Negroes is such an issue, and it's an issue that has been festering since the founding of our sacred nation. Even if we defeat every enemy, should we double our wealth and still be unequal to the issue, then we will have failed as a people and as a nation. The failure of any of our brothers to rise to the situation and prosperity merited by the strength and character and wealth of enterprise is a betrayal to the American dream. I want to speak out about a specific crisis of inequality before us today. The lack of fair access to housing is inequity that perpetuates all other racial injustices. Fathers have been denied access to employment, their children access to schools, all throughout the myriad sinister confines imposed on their accrement of property across the country. Actors of hatred conspire to limit the balance of freedom afforded to their fellow Americans. The time for local action to speak free for a black homeowner has passed. We need federal action to break the back of these malign interests. To my opponents here and to those who would seek to avoid action by the national government in their own communities, the answer is simple. Attack the racial biases of lenders, sellers, and renters with all your might. Make the world where the passage of the Fair Housing Act is a distant and antique necessity. Until that world's reality, the United States will be there to protect the rights and opportunities of all citizens, black or white. 50 political power? Incredible. Yes, in my backyard. But Jack's going to lose his 75 political power, so... You know, you win some, you lose some. Kind of just going back to where we were. And after that, we will pass you. But then after that, we can't do anything else until we do... like, look how many focuses there are. It's insane. And the only way you can do all of them, I think, is like you need to get LBJ re-elected. And we'll see if that happens or not. 2 years ahead of time is still, I think, a little bit too much. Director fire. You know what? Let's also reduce air accident chance again. There's 2,500 unique logos. That is quite a lot. Yeah, the only way you can do this is if you create society. So how's like this stuff looking for us? The Independence of the United Arab Emirates. Okay. Let me scroll down, please. So we have middling impact on civil rights. Everything else is very, very weak. So you're now... Are you independent? Because it looks like you're still a puppet state of Italy, but... So, like, what are you doing, Germany? Have you done any of this stuff for us? Primaries are concluded and the conventions are over, and now that the battle has been chosen between the chosen candidates of the Republican, Democrats, and National Progressive Party will begin in earnest. While every electoral race from the country's commissioners to state judges to the Senate in Washington is important... Okay, yeah, I think it's the exact same event we've had before. So we're still going to go for the NPP. Even though I don't think they're going to win, it does make a more it's more interesting, I think, when there's kind of like a lot of tension. So you are for, I'm assuming, the president? No, you're for the elections. Okay. So I guess right now we'll throw you onto... You're for the presidency. Toss up. Of course, the NPP are winning all in the south. Toss up in the Great Lakes. Toss up in the Great Plains. Like, it's definitely way more tricky than it would be before. But I guess for right now, we'll go with the Rockies. All the presidents have 8 years of content? Okay. I don't... I mean, does it actually say... The campaign? Like, is there, like, a list that I can see what the actual, like, electoral votes are right now? Because I like, you could count this, for sure. Strong lead. The Rockies. Like, there's no way I don't think LBJ is going to get any votes in the South. Provisions and legal exemptions for housing. The Civil Rights Act of 1866 allowed for all citizens to rent, hold, and sell or buy property. But gave the federal government no means to enforce this principle. African-American leaders were adamant that without any equitable access to housing, there would never be equality of opportunity. We're counting on an overwhelming support from black voters to survive the waves of backlash for to our civil rights agenda. We need to pass a bill that meets their standards. Meanwhile, the right NPP has been most successful in mobilizing opposition with the language of housing discrimination. White communities fear losing their most subtle means of resisting integration. Even conservative Republicans who not only support civil rights are making noises about the freedoms of association and conference in response to our feelers. Our policy teams have come up with several options for our proposal to Congress on housing rights. Thanks to their creative writing skills, we can pass a strong bill without limited exceptions. A bill that retains the strong language of the formal, introducing enough carve-out to at least limit the speed of integration, or a token bill that omits protections and jurisdictions for those targeted at housing policy. Well, double down. Double down. We're already at negative 630, so let's go. So rights. Voters in the north and the Steel Belt will approve of this. Voters in the south, the Rockies, and the west will disapprove of this. Some of the less dedicated Republicans will switch over to the Democrats. We'll become more divided. Whatever. I'm sure it's fine. I'm sure we're good